Coming up on this episode of NPS Now, the Governor and First Lady visited Suburban Park to celebrate a milestone. An author encouraged Norview Middle School students. And seniors learn just how close they are to graduation. Later in the show, we'll get an update on the NPS redesign, plus Steve Sutmiller with sports. All that and more next on NPS Now. Hello and welcome to NPS Now, your source for news and information about Norfolk Public Schools. I'm your host, Karen Tanner. Virginia Governor Terry McAuliffe and First Lady Dorothy McAuliffe visited Suburban Park Elementary to celebrate the 10 millionth meal served since the inception of the No Kid Hungry initiative. During their visit, the Governor and First Lady personally handed out delicious breakfast to students and then visited a few classrooms. They also spoke at a brief assembly about the importance of school meal programs across the region and the state.
We are so excited that the Governor and First Lady came to Suburban Park this morning. We're here to celebrate the 10 millionth additional meals served since they took office. And Norfolk Public Schools school nutrition has been a huge part of their effort across the state of Virginia. We have served additional breakfast in Virginia, as well as grown our supper program and our after-school meals program, our summer program, our snack program, and then lunch and breakfast have grown right along with that too.
Well, we know breakfast is the most important meal of the day. The science is there, and our grandmothers and our parents always told us, and it really is true. We can't concentrate. You can't be hungry for knowledge if you're just plain hungry. Adults have a hard time, if they're hungry, concentrating, focusing in a meeting. So we know that we want to make sure that children have the nutrition they need to start off right, to fuel their brains and their bodies and have a great day. School days are long, so we want to make sure they have access to the nutrition they need to do as well as they can every single day.
Author Ronnie Sidney II spent the day at Norview Middle School talking with students, staff, and community members about his books and the real-life issues that young people encounter today. Sidney, who's also a licensed social worker, struggled in school when he was young, so he decided to share his experiences with young people through books and encourage them not to give up.
For me, it's important because I see myself as these kids. You know, I was sitting in the same chairs as a student and having some challenges, and I didn't have any books that I could identify with, books that represented students with disabilities or African American males. Increasing literacy is probably my #1 reason for really getting out to schools, because I understand, having strong reading skills can really increase a kid's opportunity to be successful.
I think it's very inspirational that how he was in special education and he progressed so far and he got a master's degree. I think it's very incredible, and knowing that he had ADHD, I think he's a good one to be a role model to kids as some that's struggling in school. It doesn't matter if you like to read or write. It's really good for somebody to come to the school and just, inspire kids that even if you're struggling in school, you can still do great things, get a master's degree, and publish books.
In an effort to further promote the literacy initiative in Norfolk Public Schools, new teachers and long-term substitutes receive training on how they can help students improve their reading skills. During the 2-day workshop, these educators learned a variety of ways to get students excited about reading and how to respond when readers have challenges.
So we are so excited to have all of our new teachers to Norfolk Public School here to go through our small group guided reading instruction, professional development, along with our literacy block and the components of that. It's been going great. I think our teachers are really excited about being here, and they're getting great ideas that they can walk into their classroom tomorrow and implement.
Well, we know that reading is the core of all instruction, and I think Norfolk has done a really nice job of providing professional learning opportunities for teachers. It's critical to their growth. We want students to grow. It's important that we focus on teacher growth as well.
I think it's fantastic because, there was a lot of things that I thought I knew, and then coming here going, oh wow, this is a much better way of doing it, or just saying, maybe this isn't the best way of doing it for my kids. So I've learned a lot. I got a lot of notes from it.
Karen, she's been excellent. Just explaining everything through everything we had to do, through the groups, through Guided reading, shared reading, just basically everything. Yeah, I learned a lot from her, so I'm appreciative.
Every high school senior across the district met with their school counselors recently to go over their high school transcripts to ensure that they are on track for graduation. This academic career planning is being done early in the school year so that every senior knows exactly what they've accomplished and what they must complete to achieve their goals.
I think it's great. It's the first time we've done it, and it's the first time we've done it this early and in such a group. It really is easier, much easier to get to everyone so quickly. So we'll be done in a week. Really, it's only going to take us 4 days. And so to meet with all of our seniors so that they know. Now, this isn't the full check, but it's a check for graduation. And then we'll go on to talk with them about colleges and their plans for when they graduate high school.
We're going through checking to make sure that all of our classes are in order and that everything's in line for us to graduate on time. Well, I know what William & Mary is looking for. You know, it's a very intense school. They want high GPAs, and so I definitely know that that's what I'm reaching towards. So I know how far I have until I get to what I'm reaching for.
We were just reading my transcript, seeing how many credits I had and how many verified credits I had, and just going over everything I've already taken. Feels fine, you know. I didn't have to come to them, so that's always a bonus, you know. But so they came straight to me.
I think it's good so that a lot of kids don't stay on top of what they need to do, so the counselors are there to make sure you're keeping on track with your stuff so that they're kind of like guiding you through.
If you have any great story ideas or events happening at your school, please be sure to contact us at nps_news@npsk12.com. Stay tuned for more NPS Now.
Welcome back to NPS Now. I'm Steve Sutmiller, Senior Coordinator of Athletics. Today in the studio, we're going to talk a little about cheerleading, and we have two student athletes from Granby High School that are members of the cheerleading squad. Caleb Branch, welcome.
Thank you.
And Trevor Jordan, welcome. All right, guys, let's get into this big event that's coming up. Caleb, talk about the event that's coming up for the Eastern District.
Well, it's the Eastern District Cheer Competition, and it's held on October 14th. That's on a Saturday. And we will see all of the Eastern District cheer teams there to compete, and hopefully it'll be a fantastic thing to see.
Okay, so this is an annual event. It's at again October the 14th at Norview High School. So, Trevor, talk about participating in an event like this. What's it mean to be part of this?
It means everything to be a part of this event. It definitely takes a lot of practice to get to this level for the competition, and sticking the stunts at the competition would mean everything, and it could make it or break your team.
Okay, so Caleb, for you, what does it mean?
For me, it means that as a unity, as a team, sideline and competition, it means everything to us. It's a peaceful thing to see when you can really stick your stunts and do all the things that you do in practice, and it does a lot of things to us emotionally.
Okay.
Also, it's very fun and exciting.
All right. So right now we have you guys are involved in sideline cheering with the team, and then Trevor, go ahead and explain the difference from sideline cheering to competition cheering.
So sideline cheering, we'll cheer at the games and we'll cheer on the team to win the game. But then competition, there's one big competition, the Eastern District Cheer Competition, and we work all summer, we practice all summer for this, and we try to stick our stunts and get our routine together, and then we perform that at the competition.
All right. Caleb, all right, so which one do you prefer? Do you like the sideline cheering, or do you like the big event, the competition?
I like sideline.
Sideline?
Yes.
Okay. So, Trevor, how long have you been involved in cheering?
This is actually my second year cheering.
Second year? And
yes.
So tell us a little bit, how did you get involved?
I got involved because I've always wanted to cheer from my cousins when they cheered when they were in high school. And so when I got older and into high school, my freshman year, I didn't cheer. But when I saw them at the pep rally, that's when I wanted to begin cheering. And so I tried out at the end of my freshman year.
Okay.
And I got involved.
Great. Caleb, what about you? How long have you been involved?
I've been with the team for 3 years now, and I got involved at when I saw them at the pep rally. That's when I said that I wanted to be a Grammy cheerleader.
Okay, so let's get back to this routine. I've been around for a few years.
Right.
I see that, I mean, every cheer squad practices forever, it seems like. So talk about preparation from your end.
Preparation for us is dedication, hard work throughout the summertime, throughout school time. It's very difficult to balance all of those things when school starts back up, but it's very challenging, and it's fun as well.
Trevor, what about, I mean, what do you put into this? I mean, again, the hours are there's a lot of hours involved, so
yes,
how do you manage that, and just tell us what you do.
Well, like Caleb was saying, it's very challenging to balance schoolwork and cheer. So we practice every day after school until 6:30 and on the weekends. So I'll try from after school until practice begins to do our homework, and then during practice put in as much work as possible so we can win the title back.
Okay, so tell me, what's your favorite part about cheering?
My favorite part about cheering, I would have to say, is going against other squads, cheer teams, because you not only see what Grammy does, you see what other cheer teams do as far as sideline, and it's very exciting to see.
All right, so something a little different.
Yes.
You guys are just a minority. Very few males are involved in cheering, so how can you promote that, and how can you let other guys know about why it's important to be in cheering? Go ahead.
I feel as if it's important to be in cheering because it's a form of expression, so it's definitely a way to get involved, and if you're not passionate about it, then I would not suggest it because it's definitely a lot of work and dedication.
Okay. Caleb?
For me, it would have to be also being different and learning how to be fearless. It's very, what he said is very difficult.
Well, you know, I've seen you guys cheer.
Right.
You guys are definitely passionate.
Right.
You bring some excitement to the game, to the crowd, and that's what it's all about. And then I'm sure during competition, you know, the adrenaline is flowing much higher than a football game.
Right.
So you guys do a really nice job with that. So you both of you have been nominated for an award through Holla Cheer Dance Magazine. That's pretty unique and special.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that.
So they contacted us because they saw us on Instagram, and they contacted us to be a part of one of their publications of their magazine. So that's very exciting.
Okay. Caleb?
It's very, it's a very different thing. I've never got attention like that, but it's very, it would be very fun to be a part of and exciting. And
so what kind of opportunities are you looking at down the road? I mean, you're a senior, you're a junior, so is it next level cheering at the collegiate level, maybe?
Maybe. I would like to take a break for 1 year, and then we'll see what happens after that.
All right.
It would definitely be nice to cheer in college, and I feel like if I keep pushing and I get a scholarship, then that would be an amazing opportunity.
Okay. All right. Guys, a lot of good information. We're excited for the big event on October 14th. But before we talk about that event again, give me some predictions. How are the Comets going to do? How are you going to beat Norview High School?
The Comets are going to do great. They're going to do fine. As long as their attitude is right and they do everything that they've did in practice, I'm sure everything will go just fine.
Okay. Trevor?
Yes, it's been a lot of practice, and the Pilots have taken the title for 2 years in a row, so we're going to make a comeback this year.
Okay, well, I'm sure Coach Meeks is she's going to have you all ready, so good luck with that.
Thank you.
So again, October the 14th at Norview High School.
Yes.
It sells out, so we hope you can buy your tickets early. Guys, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
More NPS Now after this.
Welcome back to NPS Now. With us today is Rhonda Ingram. She is our Chief Financial and Operations Officer. And with her also is Tiffany Spate. She is our Senior Coordinator for Grants Accounting. Welcome, ladies, to NPS Now.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
We have an important topic to discuss because it comes around every year, and we want to make sure that parents are aware of what needs to happen. And we're going to discuss the federal government's Impact Aid Survey. That's a very important survey.
Yes,
so that's why we have you both on the show today. So Rhonda, tell us, what is federal impact aid in that survey?
Federal impact aid is basically the federal government returning to localities funding. You know that we get real estate taxes for the city of Norfolk, but federal properties are not taxed. So as a way to make the school division and the city whole, federal government has come up with a way of giving us funding for each federally connected child that's in the city of Norfolk. So it's a way of returning funds back to the district to use for education.
And so Tiffany, I guess you're in charge of this program
Yes,
for the
ma'am.
district. When do the forms come out and when do they need to be returned?
The forms come out October the 16th, 2017 for all of the students to take home to their parents. We're asking all elementary cards to be returned by October the 21st, and all high school needs to be returned by October the 27th.
So who is eligible in order for the schools to receive these funds?
The students that are eligible within the city of Norfolk are students with disabilities who live on federal property, students who live on federal property, parents who work on federal property.
Mm-hmm. So this is important.
Yes, ma'am.
So how much is each, let's say, each form? What is each form worth?
Each card is usually worth about $2,500 for students that live on federal property or parents that may work on federal property. We do receive additional funding for those students who live on federal property who have some type of disability.
On average, how many forms are we receiving each year?
Well, last year we received about 6,600 cards last year. This year we're looking to receive additional cards because what we've actually done, we know that within the city of Norfolk we have a number of military installations. We have a number of federal properties within the city of Norfolk. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to ramp up and do some of the things differently to get a return on our investment.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that we do have a lot of federally connected students within the city of Norfolk, but we're not always able to identify them through the federal impact aid process. So what we did this year is we tried to do some things differently because we know that we do, but the cards are voluntary. So we need to ensure that we get the information out to parents and guardians, letting them know how important this information is and how it affects the students within the city of Norfolk.
And that's why you're on the show today,
Yes,
to talk about that, to let parents know the importance of it. So how many are you really expecting to get back this year, or hope to get back this year?
We hope to get back at least double what we got, so at least around maybe 12,000, but it's all dependent upon participation. It's dependent upon participation. That is our goal, but at the same time, it depends on the parents and guardians returning those cards back to us.
Yeah, that is important.
It's very important because we have to really survey all of the students. So we're sending out approximately 30,000 cards. But those that are federally connected, they have to come back and they have to be completed correctly. So if they do not complete them correctly, we cannot count them in the number that we will get. So there is an effort as well. If they come back not completed correctly, then we will send it back and say, will you please do this? So we really have an all-out effort to identify as many students as we can this year.
Right, so where does the money go?
Basically, it goes to support the instructional needs of the students. It can cover things like teacher salaries, teacher assistant salaries, textbooks, computers, after-school programs, so anything really to support instruction for the students.
What kind of impact can this have on Norfolk Public Schools?
Significantly. In this year's budget, we have approximately $3.3 million for impact aid. So if we get fewer than the 6,000 or 6,600 from last year, we won't get that money. So the more students we identify, the more funding we get, and the more funding will go into instruction.
And that's important.
It's very instruction, especially in today's time and economy with funding for the schools on the state and local side. So it'd be very important.
Tiffany, who has access to the information on those cards?
The information in those cards is confidential. The only people that actually have access will be the Federal Impact Aid Technician for the district and the Information Technology Division. That information is not sold to anybody. It's not given to anybody. It is confidential.
Are there any other uses for those forms that we receive?
So any other uses for those forms, yes. So the actual cards, no. But the information, like the federally connected status of a student, we do use that for additional funding through the United States Department of Education for competitive grants or additional DoD funding.
So I think this is very important. I remember when we were going to school, we remember filling out these forms and the importance of, I think we were given rewards for turning in the forms. So let's kind of really re-emphasize and recap when the forms are coming out and when they're due.
Okay, the forms will come out October the 16th for all of the students throughout the district. We're asking for elementary cards to be returned no later than October the 21st, and high school cards to be returned no later than October the 27th.
Okay, and we will help advertise that for you guys to help
Thank
parents
you so
remember
much.
that
Yes.
this needs to happen because it's important funding for the school district.
It's important funding. This is how they can take a part in securing funding for the division by completing those cards.
Exactly.
Yes.
Thank you both for coming on the show today.
Thank you.
And we want you to stay tuned for more NPS Now. Welcome back to NPS Now. With us today is our Chief Academic Officer, Dr. Kip Rogers. Welcome to NPS Now.
Thank you for having me, Karen.
I'm happy to have you today, and we're going to talk about Norfolk Public Schools redesign, which we've been talking about it over the summer leading into this school year. So first, tell us about the systemic progress that our district has made over the last 3 years.
So for the last three years, we've been focusing on revamping Norfolk Public Schools as it relates to providing opportunities for our students. And 3 years ago, we began with the idea of focusing on what we refer to as Tier 1 instruction and response to intervention. And with that response to intervention, that focuses on the first time students are taught and how do you address when they don't learn and understand what was taught them the first time, and how do you regroup students as well as the level of instruction for them to be successful the second time that it's taught. And that has proven very helpful for our students and for us as well. This year and last year, we also focused on this idea of literacy, leadership, and rigor from a systemic process. And we focus on our leaders, we focused on our teachers, we focus on professional development, and that has proven systemic for us because we have reduced the number of schools who have not been fully accredited. From, I think 3 years ago, we were at about 61% of our schools were not accredited. This year, we are at 38% of our schools not being accredited. So we've made some real progress, and we are anticipating that to increase over the next couple of years.
Right. And I understand we have district turnaround partners. So what is the impact that they're having on our schools and those focus schools?
Well, and that's what I meant. Our district turnaround partner is called, they call themselves focused schools. And the impact that they've had with our district as a whole, as I mentioned, we have a district leadership team, and we have actual professional development that's led by them. And in that professional development, we talk about how we can systemically improve our schools and how we can build our own capacity as leaders. And that in turn filters out to the level of service that we provide with our schools. That in turn spills down to the level of service that we provide with our instructional leadership teams at each school, which could comprise of the building principal, the assistant principal, the reading specialists, other coaches, classroom teachers. And in that, we design a process where we bring to the table concerns, data, curriculum, and we make decisions collectively with which to best support our students.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question about our instructional leadership teams and how do they help to our focus schools more specifically.
Well, each school, part of the process that we've done is have each school identify collectively and not in isolation with their entire school having input, and well, the school population, including students, to identify their instructional focus. And each instructional focus at the school is different. However, you can certainly connect them to the overall, one of the overall goals of the school district is to increase student performance in the area of literacy. So they each have their own instructional focus that's unique to their school. It could be reading comprehension, critical thinking, mathematical strategies, and they identified that instructional focus based on data and coming together to really decide what's important to their school, what's important to their students, and what are the needs of their students. So having instructional leadership teams who meet frequently and to come together and to talk about what that instructional focus is has been tremendous in helping us get where we need to be.
So briefly, what will the success look like for these schools?
For all schools, actually, because we've taken a systemic approach. It's not just the schools who are in some level of school improvement. So I think the success, we will never get there unless we have all of our students where we need to be, and that's a work in progress. I think when we look at what the state has identified as meeting minimum benchmark, that's the floor, and I think the approach that we're taking is to look at how can we reach higher levels of student achievement. Thinking about the big picture, we want our students to be successful after they leave Norfolk Public Schools and be successful contributors to the city of Norfolk, hopefully.
Right, and Dr. Boone is really pressing this year and emphasizing the NPS redesign, the literacy, leadership, and rigor. Tell me about those individual pieces.
Well, literacy, leadership, and rigor, we came together when Dr. Boone first got here, so it's almost 2 years ago now, to decide how would we approach the district redesign in and of itself. And we took the approach where we involve all of our leaders in the city of Norfolk Public Schools. That includes central office staff, staff in instruction, staff in operation. We had staff in transportation to come together and identify what are the important pieces that we need to focus on collectively that can transform the district and involve all departments, because we have to work collectively together. Everybody has an impact on the success of a student. Doesn't matter whether you stand in front of a chalkboard or not. If you drive kids to school, you have an impact on their outcomes. So collectively, we came up with 3 gears, if you will, that really drive the work of the school district, and that's literacy, leadership, and rigor. And the idea of leadership is universal here, and it doesn't matter whether you're a building principal or whether you're a classroom teacher. That's leadership. You are leading that work. So every professional development that we provide, all of our staff, and again, it doesn't matter what department you work in, has some component that's related to leadership so that we can build capacity with that. Literacy is almost what you would expect in a school district. We focus on literacy, and we are right now on the tail end of completing our pre-K really through adult literacy model. So we're expecting to roll that out at the beginning of this second semester. And the idea of rigor is sometimes a nebulous term in education. However, it does focus on going deeper and not necessarily surface level, as I shared before. The idea of meeting minimal benchmarks as set forth by the standards of learning, we'd like to expand the scope of that so that we can make sure that we're building our students' future so that they can come back and return to their communities and be productive.
And we have a 4th wheel that will be introduced as innovation. Tell us about that.
Well, we haven't quite decided whether that's going to be a wheel or whether it's going to be a chain to go with our graphic with this idea of innovation. And we've had lots of conversation as a district leadership team, as well as in our schools, with regards to we can't continue to live in the now or operate in the present. And when you continually focus on just meeting minimum benchmarks with standards of learning, you operate at minimal levels. So how do you move from this idea of working in the now and focusing on the present as opposed to looking toward the future? So thinking about that in context, how do you make that happen? Well, you approach it from an innovative idea. And all of those pieces, literacy, leadership, and rigor, can be approached in innovative manners. So, for example, we have 5 of our schools who have been identified as priority schools, and they're in the midst of beginning a pilot program on personalized learning environments. So that's pretty innovative for those schools who have traditionally been bound by meeting minimal expectations as set forth by the state. So we're excited about that opportunity for those schools. So we'd like to do more of that. So if you have the focus of innovation, then what you focus on is what you can expect to happen.
Well, I'm glad you came on the show today to expound a lot more on the NPS Redesign program and the wheels and what's maybe new. And I thank you for sharing this awesome information, and you've pretty much informed parents, the staff, we know all about it from all the things we've been doing. So thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me, Karen.
Yeah. And we want to thank you for watching NPS Now. It airs weekly on WNPS, Channel 47, or you can view us online at www.npsk12.com. If you have any great story ideas or information you'd like to share, email us at nps_news@npsk12.com. Again, we want to thank you for watching NPS Now.